Yesterday we had seen kind of this particular way of what I meant to say representing the things like this is packet 1, packet 2, packet 3, packet 4, packet 5. So if this is the there, this is there, so I'm not sending packets like this. I'll be doing the packetting like this, column wise, not row wise. So column wise means 1, 6, 11, 16. It is going as first packet. Then 2, 7, 12. So here, um, mm, yeah. So here 2, 7, 12, 17, 22 is going as second packet. And third column, the entire thing is going as third packet. And fourth column, you got the idea, is going as fourth packet like 4, 9, 14, 19, 24, 4, 9, 14, 19, 24, and this is the fifth column. So column wise, if I send, what happens when the packets are transmitted, assuming that one particular packet is lost, the third packet is lost, so it will be received in column wise only. So 1, 6, 1, 1, 1, 6, you got the idea, 1, 6, 1, 1, 16, 21 goes here. This 2, 7, 12, 17, 22 goes over here in second column. Third column is lost. It comes here. And fourth column is coming in fourth packet is coming in fourth column. And fifth packet is coming in fifth column, like this. But how do I recover this one bit of data in each packet? Now, what has happened is from packet one, if you see sending side, packet one, I have lost one bit. Got the idea? Packet 2 also I have lost one bit. Packet 3 also I have lost one bit. Packet 4 I have lost one bit, and packet 5 also I have lost one bit. So simplest way of recovering this could have been, if I take, you got the idea, simple sum of these as checksum. So 5 plus 4 plus 3. So this is 12 plus 2, 14 plus 1, 15. So if checksum is sent as 15, similarly for this checksum is 19 plus 8, 27 plus 7, 34 plus, so this becomes 40. So this checksum comes over here, assuming that checksum is not lost, it is coming exactly the way we want. You got the idea? So now what happens? I can recover this particular bit. Simply how I'll be recovering. So here it is 15 minus 12. 15 minus 12. So I'll be getting this as 3. So I can recover. Similarly, second column, third column. So 40. This checksum was 40. 40 minus 19 plus 7. 19 plus 7, 26 plus 32. So this will become, how much? This is 40 or how much? 9, 27, 34 plus 40. So 40 minus 13, uh, minus 13 minus 9, 13, 21, 31. So 31 means here it will be, is something wrong here? No, I'm calculating wrong. So it's 13, 13 plus 10, 23 plus 9, 32. Yes, 8 it will be. So 40 minus, 40 minus 32, it will be 8. Like this, I can recover every, bit that has been lost from each of the packet. You got the idea? There is another method called as combining and compounding method. You got the idea? So here in this combining and compounding method, what I'll be doing is each packet is containing, you got the idea? Here what I'll do is each packet, I'll have two parts. It will have what I meant to say packet P1 in high resolution, and before this, if any packet was there, so since packet only 5 packets are there, in the previous example we have seen 5 packets. So what I'll be doing is it will have two parts. So previous packets copy will be here. It is called low resolution packet, and this is high resolution packet. You got the idea? And now what I have done is in packet 2, this packet 2 will have high resolution, what I meant to say, uh, packet value, and previous packets copy will be pasted here. Previous packets copy will be pasted here. It is called low resolution packet. Low resolution means low importance kind of thing I can take. Now packet 3, it is high priority, means high resolution, and this other part will have, packet 2 will have low priority, low resolution packet. Then similarly packet 4, it will have two parts. So packet 4, it will have high resolution packet 4 here and packet 3 here. Then packet 5 will have a packet 5 high resolution here and packet 4 low resolution here. We call this as packet 1 high, packet 2 high, packet 3 high. So 5 packets I have sent, each packet containing a copy of low resolution copy of previous packet. Now what happens, assuming that here in transmission, one of the packet is completely lost. Say packet 2 is completely lost. Am I clear? Over here, packet 2 is completely lost. Packet 1 was received, packet 3 was received, packet 4 was received, packet 5 was received, packet 2 was lost. But still I can recover this packet since packet 3 is containing a copy of low resolution packet 2. You people are understanding, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes or no? I cannot hear anyone.
Yes, sir.
Are you understanding?
Yes, sir.
So even if this is lost, since copy of it, what I meant to say, has been placed over here, I can recover that. You got the idea?
Yes, sir.
You can see here, here I have sent one redundant packet. Redundant packet means original copy of the packet. Second, packet copy is there. With that, another extra copy of, packet 1 I have placed. But the biggest problem here in this particular method is last packet is there, packet 5. If it is lost, I cannot recover. Can you tell me why?
Because any copy of it is not present.
Because
copy of it.
packet 5, there should be packet 6. After this, there should be a packet which will contain a copy of packet 5. So packet 5, any packet that is there which will contain packet, copy of previous packet. You got there a copy of previous packet, like packet 5 is containing copy of previous packet 4. Packet 4 is containing copy of itself and previous packet, that is a copy of previous low resolution copy of previous packet 3. So but packet 5, this being the last packet, what happens if this is lost, I cannot recover, because for this I require another packet, say packet 6, which will contain packet 5. But since packet 5 is the last packet, I cannot accommodate a low resolution copy of packet 5 there. Have you understood this?
Sir, I have a
Yes.
question, sir.
Have you understood? Yes,
Sir, I
sir.
have a question, sir.
Yes, sir.
So, and packet 1 also, you can see here, packet 1, it doesn't contain any, because it does not have a previous packet. So the, low resolution packet, this thing will be left empty or blank. Have you understood this?
The Shobit wants to ask something, sir.
Yes. Tell me, Shobit. Yeah, Shobit.
Sir, is there any way we can put the packet copy of packet 5 in packet 1?
No, there is no way, because the bits will be, you mean to say copy of packet 5 should be kept in packet 1.
Yes, sir.
No.
Every last
What
copy.
happens? Bits will be leaving in sequence, right? We have seen here. You got the idea? They will be leaving in sequence. You can see if you decide the sequence like this, it will be leaving in this sequence only. So to have a copy, I can have my, access to this particular part only. I cannot have access to this particular previous parts.
Yes, sir.
You got the idea? So if this is leaving, it has to be blank. Now, if a second one is leaving, you got the idea? It will contain a copy of this, because it will, copy is there. So along with this, I can send the copy of this. Then along with this, I can send a copy of this. Along with this, I can send a copy of this. This is available along with this. So it's a one-way reading, you can say. Have you understood, Shobit?
Yes, sir.
So I cannot keep, copy of 5th packet You got the copy of fifth packet here. I cannot keep a copy of fifth packet, sorry. So it will be, okay. Now we will going for, we'll be going for the other part of what I meant to say, this one is multiplexing and spread spectrum, right? So today we'll be completing the multiplexing part. You got the idea? Multiplexing part we will be completing. Okay. So basically, we will try to know there are three types of multiplexing: frequency division multiplexing, and then wavelength division multiplexing, and time division multiplexing. Under time division multiplexing, we will have further subdivisions, right? So as synchronous TDM, so here they are, frequency division multiplexing has been, what I'm to say, acronym for this is FDM. And for wavelength division multiplexing, we call this as WDM. And this time division multiplexing, we call as TDM. So we have time division multiplexing is divided into two parts. Again, it is called synchronous time division multiplexing, and another one is called statistical time multiplexing, time division multiplexing, TDM. So only third, this particular time division multiplexing is used for what I meant to say, digital signal. So multiplexing the digital signals, remaining frequency division multiplexing and wavelength division multiplexing are used for what I'm saying, multiplexing the analog signals. These two are for FDM and WDM are used for, transmitting analog signals. And this time division multiplexing will be used for what I meant to say, transmitting digital signals. This is what you have to remember. Okay. So we will, what I meant to say, going in for multiplexing. Multiplexing is nothing but a simple concept is there, many to one. This concept of many to one is many channels are combined into one channel. You got the idea? So signals are coming from many channels. I will have signals coming from many channels. And if my bandwidth is high, you got the idea? If my bandwidth is high, suppose I, require first channel is having 1 megahertz, second channel is having 3 megahertz, and what I'm saying, third channel is having 6 megahertz. You got the idea? And I have a total bandwidth available is that of 10 megahertz. Now, what I'll do is I'll combine these three channel, what I'm say bandwidth, say three, what I'm say this thing, 1 plus 3 plus 6, total 9, and combined into a single, what I meant to say, this thing channel, and across 10. So many to one, I mean to say many input channels are combined into a single channel, and passing the signal through that particular channel is called multiplexing. In short form, it is called MUX. MU and then followed by X. So here, what I meant to say, you can see here the concept of this is N lines share the bandwidth of one link. N lines, N input lines, I should say. And concept is simple, that is many to one. Many channels are combined into one channel. And at demultiplexing, the opposite side of, I mean to say at receiving end, sending end, I have multiplexer. That means many channels are combined. You got the idea? And sent with only one transmission channel. And at the receiving end, I have opposite of something called as multiplexer, called as demultiplexer or demux. So mux, it is many to one, and demux concept is one to many. You got the idea? One to one link, can have many channels. So this is a concept of demux. Let us see how exactly this is achieved in next slide. So this is what is done. See, I have n input lines, and this bandwidth is large enough to accommodate all these combined bandwidth of what I mean to say, all these n input lines. You people are understanding? Yes or no? Yes? People are understanding?
Yes, sir.
So the no?
Yes, sir.
Somebody say no? Understanding? So here, n input lines combined bandwidth should be less than the bandwidth of available this channel, transmission channel. You got the idea? If the bandwidth of n input channels is more than this combined bandwidth of this single channel, then you cannot multiplex. So the bandwidth of these n input lines, combined bandwidth of n input lines should be less than the bandwidth available. And at DMUX side, what happens? All these, now this entire thing, all signals from all n input lines are combined into and sent across only one single channel. Now here at DMUX and demultiplexer end, all these, what I meant to say, signals coming from this single channel are separated into n separate lines. So this is what is called what I meant to say, multiplexing and demultiplexing concept. So there are three types of multiplexing. I have frequency division multiplexing, wave division multiplexing, time division multiplexing. So these are the three types of what I meant to say, multiplexing. And as I have informed earlier, I have this frequency division multiplexing and wavelength division multiplexing. Both are used for multiplexing analog signals. And only time division multiplexing, it is different or distinct from these two, FDM and WDM. So these two will carry analog signals, and this carries digital signal. It is used for multiplexing the digital signals. This is what you have to. Yes, anyone is having doubt? I can hear some noise. Okay, you people are understanding so far whatever has been done?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So now let us start learning about frequency division multiplexing, how it is achieved. Okay, so here in frequency division multiplexing, you got the idea, analog signals, you got the idea of what I meant to say, particular bandwidth, say bandwidth of a link in hertz. Bandwidth we are considering in terms of hertz. I told you bandwidth can be considered in two ways. One is in terms of hertz frequency, and another one in terms of bits per second. Both are possible. Bandwidth can be considered in both the terms. Okay. So how exactly this FDM is achieved? How exactly this FDM is achieved? Now what happens? These input lines, there are three input lines you can see here. The combined bandwidth of these three input lines is less than the total bandwidth available here. What I mean to say, total bandwidth is this, right? Total bandwidth is this entire thing is total bandwidth. Got my point? This entire thing is total bandwidth. But this all the signals that are coming from this particular line 1 will go across this particular channel 1 and channel 2. So you can take this as a single road. You can take this analogy as a single road, but it is having three parts: part 1, part 2, part 3. Since the number of input lines are 3, I'll divide this into 3 parts. And each part is further separated by something called as guard band. Guard band means it will be, you have seen on the road, so that traffic from one side should not mingle with what I meant to say, other side. They put one cement blocks. That is called cement blocks. I can take that as a guard band, so that traffic from this side should not get mixed with traffic from other side. Understood, everyone? So
Yes, sir.
if these are the paths, so I have some guard band over here, and then another this thing. So the people going from this side should not get mixed with this side. So I have something called as guard band. So this is the particular band which is called guard band, and the signals coming from this particular line will pass through this channel. Signals coming from this line will pass through this channel, and signal coming from this channel will pass through this channel. And demux, what it will do is it will separate at the end, it will separate channel 1 traffic, channel 2 and channel 3 traffic. So this is the simple concept of guard band. Have you understood this? What is the role of a guard band? Role of a guard band is to protect mingling of signals from, you got the idea, mingling of signals from this particular channel into this channel, and traffic from this channel should not get mixed with this channel. So concept is something like this. This is channel 1, say this is channel 2, and in between there is some bandwidth which is free bandwidth which is left, where no signal will travel, and this particular bandwidth, free bandwidth, where no other signal is coming, is called guard band. Okay. So now, yes, we'll go to next slide. So here the figure how exactly I'll achieve, you know, mixing of the signals into a single signal. So I have analog signal here. So three signals. This is say analog signal 1, and this is analog signal 2, and this is analog signals 3, and these are baseband signals. You got the idea, baseband signals.